This video contains full spoilers for the 2017 game Prey by Arkane Studios. I will be discussing the endings of this fantastic game and would strongly recommend any fan of the immersive sim genre, especially fans of BioShock, to play this game. This game is certainly underrated, and I would love for more people to experience it, but praising this game is not a priority for this video. With that said, my name is Dan, and I'll be discussing the philosophy of Prey and its relation to the trolley problem. Prey is a game that constantly presents the player with multiple choices. The choice of having a masculine or feminine form, the choice of following January or Alex, the choice to kill or spare, the choice to play this game or not, come on, please play this game, or the choice to be more human or Typhon. Early in the game, you are presented with a survey as part of some experiment. It asks personal questions such as where would you go on vacation? How would you feel if sentenced to death? What will you do with a runaway train that's about to kill 5 people? You know, questions to ask on a first date. The last question might be familiar as it is similar to the infamous trolley problem. The trolley problem is an ethical thought experiment that features a runaway trolley on track to kill 5 people. You, the observer, have access to a switch that can divert the trolley onto another track, with only one person in the way. Do you let the trolley run its course and allow more people to die, or do you interfere and have the trolley kill only one person? It's such a ludicrous scenario that if asked, most people wouldn't take it so seriously, especially in the middle of playing a video game. But do take a second to think about what you would do in such a scenario. Alright, that's enough thinking, they're dead now. A utilitarian way might be to pull the switch to benefit the greater number of people. Meanwhile, a deontological way would be to do nothing, as pulling the switch would be a bad action that directly kills someone. Doesn't matter, you'll be ridden with extreme guilt and trauma either way, and spend the rest of your life contemplating if you made the right choice. There are also other variations of the problem. What if that one person was a family member? What if you can push a fat man to stop the trolley? What if you can save everyone by sacrificing yourself? I mean, it's such a ridiculous predicament that, in reality, nobody would ever have to make a choice like that. Right? No, but robot cars in the future will. Also, it's kind of dumb since it's so vague. How do I know if the person will die? Can I yell at them? Why can't they just move? So why is the trolley problem brought up in this game? Well, for reasons within the context of the story, the scientists studying Morgan Yu are trying to see how much their personality is changing. Every time Morgan installs and uninstalls a Neuromod, their personality changes bit by bit, along with a chunk of their memory being erased.
You left yourself a message. Would you like to listen to it?
No.
I think it would help.
I said no, that's not me.
Why do you say that?
I don't know, I just know.
So the trolley problem was a way to measure that and to see what this Morgan's personality alignment is at. But for the player, this was a way to prime you for the big dilemma the game presents. See, the entire game is a mega trolley problem, with a whole space station instead. The station has been swarmed by an alien threat called the Typhon, and they've been feeding off of the humans, sucking them dry. There are 2 major options to resolve this threat. Either A, destroy the entire Talos 1 along with every Typhon and survivor on board as a way to ensure Earth's safety, or B, use a null wave to lobotomize every Typhon to preserve and continue research on them, potentially threatening the Earth later on. Now you can see how the choices are like that of the trolley problem, with the trolley being the Typhons, the 5 people being Earth, and the 1 person being the Talos 1. However, there come many nuances with each of the choices. No single school of thought can be used to back each decision. Sure, the utilitarian approach would be to destroy the station in favor of saving the rest of humanity, but the remaining survivors don't have to be sacrificed. There might be a way for everyone to escape the station. However, not every survivor is a good person, and not every survivor wants to leave. Alex would become so disheartened by the decision to destroy the station that he'd much rather go down with it. After all, his Neuromod research could be used to help advance humanity, But then not every person can use nor afford a Neuromod. Also, the way the Neuromods are created is completely unethical and would require sacrificing a living being and require more Typhon. There are so many layers on top of this dilemma, it's like a trolley within a trolley. And there are other dilemmas within the station separate from the main conflict, such as one that is eerily similar to the trolley problem. There is the shuttle Advent that left 30 minutes prior to the first alarm of the Typhon attack. On board are 5 crew members heading towards Earth for our normal routine trip. However, there's a possibility that the Typhon are on board, with the crew and the rest of Earth completely unaware and unprepared for the possible threat. There is no way to contact the shuttle, but you can remotely detonate it. Do you press the button and blow up the shuttle to prevent any chance of the Typhon from reaching Earth, or do you do nothing and hope that the Typhon aren't on board? That's all you get. It's more vague than the trolley problem, and yet the stakes are astronomically greater. Sure, you could try to find more clues, but time is running out. It's the lives of 5 innocent people against all of humanity. Oh, but it's heading towards Seattle, so maybe it's worth it. But given the risk, I would blow up the shuttle. And much like the trolley problem, we won't know the full consequences of our actions. So why is this game so focused on the trolley problem and on creating predicaments? Well, this is where the game falters because it's not to test which morals you align with, or which school of thought you subscribe to. This isn't like Disco Elysium where it examines your political alignment. No, the game sets up these situations to test your empathy. You are not judged by your decision to either destroy or preserve the station, but by your treatment of the people within the station. By how much you empathize with and assist them. See, the entire game is actually a simulation for a Typhon that has been infused with human characteristics. The world has already been lost to the Typhon, and creating this Typhon-human hybrid is a desperate attempt at reclaiming humanity. Usually it's the other way around where a human is infused with Typhon abilities. However, the Typhon lack mirror neurons, the potential basis for emotions like empathy.
All their wonderful abilities, there's one thing we can do that they can't. Empathize with the suffering of another living creature.
They only act upon their instincts to feed and reproduce and are incapable of understanding another being. It's just like me, for real, for real. Therefore, the simulation was set up to test the empathy quotient of the Typhon subject. Basically, it tests how much of a good person this Typhon is. So while some dilemmas exist across the station, most scenarios are either to save a person or not. Like Aaron here, for example. He is not a good person back on Earth, but I could open a door and free him. Or I could get some extra exotic material by feeding him to a mimic. This isn't really a moral dilemma. The right answer is to obviously let him go. He even rewards you by giving you the code to a nearby door. Now, he could betray you, but that is his own moral decision to make, and you can put him down at any sign of treachery. It's certainly more correct than the alternatives, which includes letting him die by the Typhon or letting him die by abandonment. This applies to much of the cast, either save them or not. Rarely is there any reason to do harm or to not help. So everything was just a simulation then, that every choice I made throughout the game didn't matter. Not exactly, just most of the choices you made didn't matter. The Talos 1 incident wasn't purely fabricated. It was a real event based on Morgan's memories. If it ended with me waking up at Arkane Studios and they're like, "Hey, wake up, Morgan! How did you like the video game you just played?" Then I'll be angry. Ultimately, all of your choices lead up to whether Alex deems you empathetic enough to be trusted or not. If not, you are reset and casted back into the simulation.
We failed. This isn't the one.
And once trusted, you can make one final choice. Either join Alex or kill them all. So which ending you choose doesn't matter, and how empathetic you are doesn't either, since you can still make the worst choice in the end. And after the final decision, Congratulations, the game abruptly ends. But either choice in the end does create an interesting story. Even with kills them all, it implies a story where Typhon is aware that it's in a simulation, so it acts in a way that is most empathetic to finally be free and exact its revenge. That means it knows exactly how to be a good person and yet chooses not to, creating an even greater threat for humanity. If you choose to join Alex, he says this:
"We're gonna shake things up, like old times."
Like old times. This implies that he has worked with this Typhon before and is fond of their past. Is this Typhon actually Morgan? A Morgan that has installed so many Neuromods that they've completely lost their humanity to the point where former comrades only refer to them as it? It explains why they test this Typhon in particular, why Morgan is missing, and why they use their memories. It might have been all done to bring Morgan back, but that's just my own little theory. So with how inconsequential the ending is and how it's more focused on doing good, are all of the references toward the trolley problem misplaced? Surprisingly, no, since the trolley problem was not created to test a person's ethical beliefs. The tram scenario was thought up by Philippa Foot in her paper The Problem of Abortion and the Doctrine of Double Effect. It was used as an example, along with many others, to thoroughly examine the issues with justifying an action by their intended and foreseen consequences. In the case of her tram example, she suggests that it's permissible that the driver should steer for the less occupied track, and how there are issues with justifying this by saying that they were intending to save the 5 people, and that killing the 1 person was an unfortunate but foreseen consequence. It's like if in Prey I were to say, oh, I just wanted to get some more exotic material, but Aaron here got in the way and I had to kill him for that. You see, Your Honor, Aaron's death was foreseen, but I really just wanted to make this. Foot also admits that in reality, there is no certainty of death in her scenario. That the person might survive, and she noted for the sake of maintaining a dilemma, the driver of the tram does not then leap off and brain him with a crowbar. Sorry, I didn't think I'd be reading that in a philosophical essay. She goes on to explore how decisions can change based on different circumstances, and suggests that we act in a way that causes the least amount of harm and the most amount of help, despite the consequences. Judith Jarvis Thomson later adapted Foot's example into the trolley problem as we see today, and created other variations. Thomson suggested that our decisions might differ because of the difference between killing a person and letting a person die. She concluded that there isn't always a definitive choice to make, especially with real issues, and that each situation should be examined individually. Therefore, in Prey, is it better to kill or let die? Neither. In most cases, you can save people and nobody has to die. Thomson also later revised her conclusion and added another scenario where the trolley can steer into the observer, sacrificing themselves. She then suggests that if a person isn't willing to turn the trolley onto themselves, then they have no right to turn the trolley onto another. Does that mean Morgan is completely justified in destroying the station and in killing everyone? After all, Morgan is willing to sacrifice himself, committed to making sure they never escape.
Michaela, this is Morgan.
Are you on your way?
I'm not going to make it.
What?
Everything's fine. I got one of the escape pods working.
Are you sure? Morgan, something's wrong.
There's no time. Trust me. I'll see you Earthside.
I'd say no, since it's based on proxy. Also, this Morgan intends to sacrifice themselves. The player inhabits a new Morgan, and they might not feel as comfortable about proceeding with that plan. And also, Thomson mentioned that if self-sacrifice isn't possible, the observer shouldn't impose their altruism onto another. So regardless if the writers of Prey were intentionally apt or not about their allusions to the trolley problem and its origins, the core message remains the same. That although we are free to do otherwise, we should act on good intentions, regardless of the consequences. To empathize so that we may refrain from harming and commit to helping others. That the intention to do good matters most once the day of reckoning arrives. To act most virtuously, even in a virtual environment.
Who? What am I talking?
Morgan,